Good morning and good afternoon, and welcome to International Day of the Girl. I'm Sharon Tao, Education Director and Team Leader for the Girls Education Challenge, a flagship program for the UK Foreign and Commonwealth and Development Office. Today, we will be celebrating International Day of the Girl in collaboration with the UN Girls Education Initiative, UNGAI, as well as with 8 girls from GC projects in Ethiopia, Uganda, Sierra Leone, and Kenya. Now, for those of you who may not be familiar with the Girls Education Challenge, or GC, it's a 13-year, £855 million investment by the UK government, making it the largest global fund for girls' education. The GC entails 41 projects across 17 countries in Africa and Asia, reaching over 1.5 million of the most marginalized girls. And today, we will be giving a platform to 8 girls from 4 of these projects as a way to amplify and empower the voices of adolescent girls from around the globe. Most of these girls have never been in contact with an online platform such as this, nor have they ever spoken to girls from other countries. So this is an incredibly new and special experience for them, and we feel extremely privileged to be able to facilitate this. Now, before we start, it might be worth giving some background as to why we're all here. Back in 1995, countries across the globe signed the Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action, which was one of the most progressive blueprints for advancing the rights of women and girls. In 2011, the UN General Assembly declared the 11th of October the International Day of the Girl Child in order to build on the Beijing Declaration and recognize the unique challenges that girls face. Today, we will very much be recognizing the unique challenges for girls and their education, particularly as a result of national school closures and lockdowns due to the global pandemic. And we're not alone in our quest for the fulfillment of girls' rights and gender equality in education, which is why we have Antara Ganguly, Head of the Secretariat at UNGAI, and Aileen Menchu from Transform Education, a youth coalition hosted by UNGAI. Together, Antara and Aileen will be setting the scene at the beginning of our session with a myth-busting activity which will highlight some key challenges, assumptions, and misconceptions around girls' education and gender equality. And then we'll be hearing from our GC girls about the challenges that they indeed face, as well as their solutions, aspirations, and messages to world leaders about the fulfillment of their human rights. But before we start, I would like to introduce and hand over to Emma Spicer, Head of the Girls' Education Department at the UK Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office. She'll be giving us a few words on why girls' education is a priority for the UK government. Emma, over to you.
I'm so excited to be here today to help us. The theme of International Day of the Girl is about the digital divide. So I'm really happy that today we're able to overcome some of the gender and geographical digital divide by spending some time with the girls who take part in our Girls Education Challenge. As a development practitioner and a policymaker, I spend a lot of time thinking about what can help girls, help boost their potential, help their empowerment. And the best way to do that is to hear from girls directly. So I think the first thing I want to do is thank the girls who've traveled here to be with us today to improve policymaking and hear some of their experiences through what's been a really difficult time over the last 18 months of the COVID pandemic. I should say to the girls, first of all, that in addition to taking decisions and helping invest money in girls' education, I'm a mother. I've got 2 boys, but no girls, but I'm still a girl at heart. And I think a lot of people joining this conversation, no matter how old they are, will really be interested in the stories that you have and what we can do to improve your lives and improve the education that you get. Our Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, has been very interested in girls' education over the last several years, and it's a priority of the development assistance that we offer when we work in partnership with countries around the world. We also have a new boss in my department, a woman called Liz Truss, who's the Foreign Secretary, and she's also absolutely committed to improving the lives of women.
Okay, unfortunately, I see that we might have lost Emma. Oh, I'm really sorry to hear that. I was really enjoying her introduction. Okay, well, hopefully Emma, I guess, had the joys of doing an online conversation. And clearly, it's internet is wonky all over the globe, including the UK. So sorry. Hopefully, Emma will be back online very shortly. So in the meantime, I would like to introduce our next guests, Antara Ganguly, Head of Secretariat at Ungai, and Aileen Menchu, a young activist from Guatemala who represents Transform Education, a youth coalition hosted by Ungai. Antara and Aileen will be highlighting key challenges, assumptions, and misconceptions through busting myths around girls' education and gender equality. And so, Antara, Aileen, over to you.
Thank you so much, Sharon. Aileen, are you there? My partner in crime?
Yeah.
There you are. Great. We're going to present some facts, and maybe they're myths, and we leave it to you to make you draw your conclusions. Aileen, go ahead.
Okay. Fact number 1. Why are we still talking about girls' education? Outside of a few countries, gender parity in education has been achieved.
Busted. That's a myth. According to UNICEF data, only 19% of low-income countries and 17% of low and middle-income countries have achieved gender parity. In fact, according to UIS, girls are 1.5 times more likely than boys to be excluded from primary school. That's 15 million girls of primary school age who have never been to school, compared to 10 million boys of primary school age. Remember, gender parity does not mean we have achieved equality. Fact number 2, girls are always more disadvantaged than boys in education.
Busted. That's a myth. According to UNICEF data, girls are disadvantaged in 62% of low-income countries. Boys are disadvantaged in 63% of lower middle-income countries. Boys are also more likely to be disadvantaged in upper middle-income countries and high-income countries. This is your reminder that transforming harmful gender norms in education will benefit boys and girls, leading to greater gender equality in society more broadly. Fact number 3. Working for boys' education is not part of gender equality.
Busted. Gender equality is for every child. There are countries such as Eswatini and Jamaica where boys have been out of school more than girls for many years. This is against their rights. In fact, it's gendered barriers that keep boys out of schools, whether it's gangs, livelihoods, or being trafficked for work. Fact number 4. School-related gender-based violence only involves a small percentage of teachers and learners.
Busted. That's a myth. School-related gender-based violence is a global issue, which includes bullying, corporal punishment, and sexual violence. Globally, an estimate of 246 million children and adolescents experience school violence and bullying in some from every year. Approximately 1 on 3 girls between ages of 13 and 15 worldwide experience bullying on a regular basis. In Mozambique, in a Ministry of Education study, 70% of girls reported knowing that some teachers used sexual intercourse as a condition for promotion. Ungai has recently published a policy note documenting the finding of a pilot project to prevent school-related gender-based violence in Zimbabwe. Link in the chat. Myth number 5. All primary schools teachers are usually women.
Busted. That's a myth. In some countries, less than 25% of primary school teachers are women. This is a huge loss. as countries with more women primary teachers are more likely to have girls go to secondary school.
Fact number 6. Education systems should just focus on learning because that's what they are good at.
Busted. There are 650 million child brides in the world today. 650 million. Each year of secondary education reduces the likelihood of girls marrying before the age of 18 by 5 percentage points or more. Fact number 7. School should be about maths and science and language and history, geography. That's what's most important for children to learn.
Busted. That's a myth. In some countries, textbooks only show women in kitchen or girls carrying water on their heads and men in office or as a doctors in hospitals. Researchers also have shown that schools are also gendered where boys take over playgrounds and girls are asked to clean classrooms. So even when children are learning about math, science, and history, they are also subconsciously learning gender stereotypes. Yet, educating girls at the same level as boys could help developing countries to the tune of at least $112 billion a year. Furthermore, advancing gender equality more broadly could contribute $12 trillion to global growth. In other words, prioritizing gender equality in and through education has the potential to transform societies and bring gender justice, economic justice, and social justice.
And that's it from Eileen and me. Back to you, Sharon.
That was absolutely brilliant and completely thoughtful and creative. And I really appreciate how you really addressed all of those misconceptions and myths in such a wonderful way. We should note that Ungai and the GEC will be putting these myths into a larger document to be shared so that everyone can see them on the document and use them themselves. And also, Antara, I also wanted to note that you, Ungai, will be hosting an additional event to celebrate International Day of the Girl just after this event called Step Outside the Gender Box. Is that correct?
That is, and if we can post the link in chat, that would be wonderful. Thanks so much, Sharon.
Yeah, no, thank you. And thank you for setting the scene so well as to, why we're here for International Day of the Girl. And now I'm very excited to introduce our next session. Before I introduce our panelists, I just wanted to remind everyone that the GC always places girls front and center of everything that we do. So that's why today we've created this opportunity for 8 GC girls to give their views and provide messages to our world leaders. And so, as I mentioned earlier, most of these girls have never been in contact with an online platform like this. Most have never even traveled to the urban center in order to meet their projects to get online here. And none have been able to speak to each other. Other girls from other countries. So this is a really exciting and new opportunity for all of them. I would also like to acknowledge that most, but not all of the girls will be speaking to us in English today, which is a huge achievement and something that us English speakers should never take for granted. I know if I were to try to do a panel discussion in a second or third language, I would fail miserably. So I really appreciate and want to show my appreciation to our girls for doing this. So right, without further ado, I would like to hand over to our 8 GEC girls, who will be giving an introduction of who they are and where they're from and a little bit about themselves. And from there, I'll then be chairing a panel discussion in which I'll be asking the girls questions and getting their views on certain topics. So I'd like to first start with Consolata in Uganda. Consolata, would you like to introduce yourself, please? I think you might be on mute. Why don't you start and see if we can hear you? Can you hear us? Can you go off mute? Maybe whilst Consolata goes off mute, shall we can go over to Ethiopia and meet Hana and Medhamit. Would you like to introduce yourselves?
Let me introduce. My name is Hana. I am 17 years old and from Ethiopia. I have two brothers, sisters, and they love this subject.
Thank you, Hana. Medhamit?
My name is Mariama. I am 17 years old and from Ethiopia. I have one brother, one sister, and they love civics and ethical education subject.
Amasaganalo. Thank you very much. That was wonderful. Excellent. Okay, shall we move to our colleagues in Kenya? Karabuni. Falastin, would you like to start?
Yeah. Hello, I'm Falastin. I'm 17 years old. I'm from Kenya. I study at refugee camp school, and I have 3 sisters and 4 brothers. I love traveling and seeing nature.
Hello, I'm Liam. I'm 22 years old from Kenya. I'm studying at refugees school. I have 3 brothers. I love singing and writing songs.
Hello, I'm Mary. I'm 18 years old from Kenya. I study at host school. I have 2 brothers and 1 sister. I love dancing and watching dancing clips.
Beautiful. Asanteni, that was wonderful. Thank you for your introductions. Asanteni. Shall we move to Sierra Leone and meet Mariama and Adama? Please feel free to introduce yourselves.
Good afternoon. My name is Mariama. I'm 16 years old. I have 3 sisters and 1 brother. I love reading storybooks and I love education.
Good afternoon. My name is Adama. I'm 18 years old. I'm speaking from Sierra Leone. I have 3 brothers and 1 sister. I like education and I am that funny type. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. That was beautiful. Thank you for your wonderful introductions. And shall we go back to Uganda? Consolata, are you there?
Yes. My name is Nivizi Consolata. I'm 18 years old with difficulty in walking that I attained at birth. I'm a Ugandan. I go to school. I'm in senior 3. I love God and I'm a human rights campaigner. My name is
wonderful. Webali, that's correct. Wonderful. Thank you for your introduction, Consolata. Great. Well, thank you to our panelists, our wonderful GEC girls. And what I will do is I will ask the question and call on our girls to provide their answers. So our first question today is, what have been the major obstacles to you accessing education, particularly in the last year of the pandemic? Consolata, why don't we start with you whilst you're here?
The challenges were many, but firstly, there was limited time reading books due to housework that take long hours. Due to the lockdown, it was hard for me to access library materials since there were movement restrictions. Thirdly, due to my impairment, it was hard for me to access some of these places in the community. There was an option of learning online, with support of digital equipments like phones, but it was harder for me since I had no personal phone. I only relied on that of my father, and worse, internet costs were so high in Uganda. Thank you.
Webali, thank you very much, Consolata. Thank you for letting us hear more about the obstacles that you experienced. What about in Ethiopia? Hana, what have been the major obstacles for you accessing education, particularly in the last year?
The major challenges during the pandemic and the last year were COVID-19, unsafe way to school and back to home, stress due to COVID-19, hopeless regarding to reopen the school after COVID-19, economic load. Nobody has been supported the lesson study at home.
Amasaganalo, thank you very much. Thank you for letting us know. Shall we move to Kenya? And Mary, would you like to let us know what have been the major obstacles to your education in the past year?
Okay. One of the major obstacles that I had in accessing my education last year and out of the pandemic was failure to access learning through radios, televisions, and computers. Hence, I was left behind by others. Since I was left behind by others, I was afraid to involve myself in unhealthy relationship through peer pressure from friends. Another obstacle was there was no physical teachers to guide me. Lastly, my cultural norms whereby girls are seen as a source of wealth, and majority of them were married off. I was afraid because my fate was left in the hands of my parents.
Asante, Mary. Thank you very much. Thank you for letting us know about that. And finally, let's move to Sierra Leone. Adama, would you like to share with us the obstacles that you experienced to your education last year?
Well, before the COVID-19 pandemic, I was a dropout and I have not been going to school. I've been enrolled in the IGA program as a beneficiary. So last year in the pandemic, our sessions were put on hold for some time. During that time, there was no learning. I had some economic issues wherein my parents cannot provide a day meal due to lack of jobs. And there was not enough returns from the petty trading that my mother was doing. It was also difficult for me to catch up the sessions again due to the long staying at home during the heat of the pandemic. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Adama. I mean, it is quite profound how, our girls in 4 different countries experience, some similar constraints, some different constraints, but surely constraints that have exacerbated all of the challenges that they were experiencing prior to COVID. So thank you very much for letting us know. So on a more positive note, can you tell us how have these obstacles been addressed, either through your own efforts, through the support of GC projects, your families, communities? Have your obstacles been addressed? Consolata?
I try to solve my problems, firstly at personal level. I sat down with my sister and drew a reading timetable and housework that enabled me at just an increased time on reading. Second, with the support from my father, we subscribed on the school online learning WhatsApp group that enabled me access learning materials. And my father also approached a teacher on the neighborhood to help us, guide us in some of the subjects, but not all of them. And the Girls Education Talent Project through Cheshire Services Uganda supported me and other children with with self-study learning materials that helped us go through the pandemic from the Ministry of Education. And lastly, I also attended sessions organized by the project to support us in literacy and numeracy lessons in the neighboring center in our community. For now, that's all. Thank you.
Mevali, thank you, Consolata. That's wonderful to hear about how yourself, your father, the GC project, Cheshire Services, all worked very hard to help you overcome those obstacles. Thank you. Let's move over to Ethiopia and Medahanit. Do you want to talk to us about how your obstacles have been addressed, either from yourself, the GC project, your family community, and please, Amharic, feel free to speak in Amharic, and Evan, you can translate.
Thank you. I have addressed the challenge by myself with GC and the community. I followed COVID-19 protocol. I kept myself at home to prevent from COVID. The GC also provided COVID-19 awareness on provision strategy and sanitary material provision, catch-up learning supported by FM radio and South TV. The project introduced new safeguarding reporting procedure and service map for her safety in the way, provided stationary sanitary material and school uniform. And my family and the community also supported studied lesson in group in the village, advised to follow COVID-19 protocol, supported by reporting safeguarding report to Abale authorities.
Sagamalo, that was wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for that, Medahanit. And again, lovely to hear how you worked very hard, your family worked very hard, and Link Education in Ethiopia worked very hard to overcome obstacles. Thank you. Shall we go to Kenya, Falastin? Can you tell us how have your obstacles been addressed, either through yourself, your GC project, family, community? Go ahead.
The obstacles that we faced in accessing education in the last year and a half of the pandemic were addressed by the KIF program, whereby they introduced radio lessons and teachers were teaching us online. They also introduced mentorship and counseling sessions, and they were also follow up by the counselors of the leaders in the community. And teachers and students formed our WhatsApp group, and there were also tutorials and tuitions which were being conducted in the community to empower us and instill us with hopes. I am a beneficiary of cash transfer, which provided me with an extra money to buy basic needs such as sanitary pads, textbook, and mask. And lastly, KEEP project created awareness on the importance of girl child education.
Asante, Falastin. That was wonderful. Thank you. And thank you to the KEEP program for working very hard on your behalf as well. Thank you. And now let's move to Sierra Leone, where we have Mariama. Would you like to take us through how have some of your obstacles been addressed?
Yeah, well, as I was saying, the eager mentor have been visiting us regularly, giving us encouraging words and reminding us how to keep ourselves safe. For me to be safe, I also put into practice the knowledge I've gained during the eager session. If I don't have any work to do at home, I also sit and revise my session at home. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you, Mariama. And again, thank you to the EAGER program, IRC Concern. That's really good to hear. Okay, so thank you very much for telling us about the challenges that you've all experienced, the the way that yourselves and your families and your GEC projects have helped you overcome some of those challenges through the national lockdowns and school closures. I would like to hear now, hopefully now that the COVID situation is going away, we hope, what are your goals for the future, for yourself, your community, the world as a whole? Consolata, shall we start with you?
Thank you once again. My dad told me to dream big. So I dream of becoming a surgeon to offer support and contribute on preventing disabilities that can be prevented before or from birth. To be an advocate of a girl child through ensuring that they are empowered through education, confidence, and skill building. And then I will try my level best to follow up all global movements and campaigns that promote the rights of that promote human rights. But especially, I want to follow those that promote rights of a girl child. Those are my dreams. Thank you.
Vali, thank you. And I have no doubt that you will be a surgeon and be very successful with promoting the rights of the girl child. Thank you. Okay, Ethiopia. Shall we go to Ethiopia? And Metahanit and Hana, what are your goals for the future, for yourself, your community, the world as a whole? What are your goals?
My goal is to be a teacher and help my community supported girls to learn and be a model teacher in the community. I also be a girly girls learning champion for and creating for world learning for women.
Saganalo, thank you, Hana. Hana, what are your goals for the future?
My goal is to be an engineering and a guidance and a counselor. I wanted to struggle to have an equal learning opportunity for girls and boys and improve challenges of social norms for learning.
Saganalo, thank you. Thank you for that. That is very inspiring, and I have no doubt that you will achieve those goals. Shall we move over to Sierra Leone and speak to Adama and Mariama? Please tell us, what are your goals for the future, for yourself, your community, or the world as a whole?
Well, my dreams for the future is to see every girl child have access to quality education, especially the ones that have been dropped out of school should be given a second chance through the IGA program. And also, I want to see every girl child be empowered and self-reliant in the society. Thank you.
Well, my dream is to become a lawyer and to see the safe society for girls, for every girl child, including those who have been affected to rapists, who are out there looking for help. They need a second chance to go back to school. Thank you.
Thank you. And you make very clear that need to have that second chance and those opportunities. I absolutely agree. So thank you for highlighting that. And now let's move over to Kenya for Liam, Falastin, and Mary. Why don't you guys, can you tell us your goals for the future, either for yourself, your community, or the world as a whole?
Okay. It is my dream that one day in my country I'll become an MP to be involved in making laws and policies. And I am determined to see a society where justice and peace prevails. And that is why I want to become a lawyer to reform my community and educate them to stop all violence, refusing girls their rights. I am determined to see all girls be independent in the world. It is my dream that all girls in the world should be given equal right of education to be role model to the world. As it is said, if you educate a girl, you have educated a whole nation. It is my dream all girls will be transformed the world.
I would love to see a society where peace prevails. And that's why I want to pursue a career of being a peace reconciliator. I want to fight for the right of less fortunate people and mobilize and educate the people on having importance of having a peaceful coexistence. I want to study international laws governing relations between nations and dealing of nations with each other. This ensures keeping peace back in my country, which has been inflicted with war, consisting of brutal murders, negligence of the right of girl child, as well as forcing them to archaic culture, such as female genital mutilations and early marriages. And I want to become exemplary to other young girls in my community and serve the world as well.
Okay, my goals for myself, my community, and the world as a whole. I would like to become a doctor to provide health care to my community because people from my community travel far and wide to access basic health care. I will one day build a hospital in my community to ensure that everybody has an access to health care services. In future, I would like to see a world whereby citizens are healthy and productive. Healthy sanitation to all people and the expectancy mother to produce healthy children in the society. This drives my passion to become a doctor.
Asante. And listening to all three of you talk about being a doctor, a peace negotiator, an MP, I look forward to the day that you are all running your country and countries. And I very much look forward to it and have no doubt that that is a possibility. So thank you to all of our girls for sharing with us their goals for the future. I have one last question now for everyone. If the world's leaders, including the presidents of your countries, were listening right now, what should they do to help you achieve your goals? If all the global leaders were listening right now, what could and should they be doing to help you achieve your goals? Consolata, can we start with you in Uganda?
Thank you for this chance. I'm sure they are listening. So my message to all global leaders here today is that let each one of you in your influencing positions walk the talk on matters affecting girls in Uganda and the world at large. Number 2, plan all education programs to reach out to all children, including those with disabilities. But please remember accessibility. Schools should be accessible. They should have walkways for people with disabilities to allow smooth stay at school. And before I conclude, one of my friends from Kenya was saying, if you educate a girl, you have educated the nation or the world. On the news, they were saying, everyone is talking about girls educating a girl. What about the boys? Aren't they left behind? I'm replying to all of them, even the leaders. It's simple. If you educate a girl, you have educated the nation, because the girls are the ones that will grow up and produce those boys, and bring them up in a good way since they were also brought up well. And as I conclude, I remain Consolate Niyibizi, Senior 3 from Uganda, and from the Girls Education Challenge project implemented by Share Services Uganda. For God and my country. Thank you.
Very well done. Thank you, Consolate. That was beautiful. Really appreciate that. And we will work very, very hard to try to get that message to your leader and global leaders. Thank you. Shall we move over to Ethiopia and speak to Medhanit and Hana? What message do you have? If the world's leaders, including your president, were listening right now, what should they do to help you achieve your goals?
My message for the leaders are practically address for gender equality, deployed women guardians and the counselor teachers in the school. Policymakers should prioritize the needs of women in policy and the strategies. Thank you.
Medhanit, welcome.
My message for the leader the school should be safe for girls working on secondary school access. Thank you.
Thank you. Amasaganalo. Well done. Very good messages to your leaders. Shall we go to Sierra Leone and Adama and Mariama? What if the world's leaders, including your president, were listening right now, what should they do to help you achieve your goals?
Well, I will tell them that there are a lot of girls out there who had not had the opportunities to go to school, that government should help them have access to quality education, especially with the ones that have been given the basic education through the IGA program. Thank you.
My message to my leader and other leaders, my message to my president and other leaders is to focus on girl child education for a better nation and give those who need the education for a better nation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Well done. And last but not least, Kenya. So Liam, Falastin, and Mary, if the world leaders were here listening to you, what should they do to help you achieve your goals?
If the world leaders were listening right now, including my president, Mr. President, sir, we have been beneficiaries of KEEP program that has been supporting girl education. We have been learn life skill and benefit from mentorship and counseling program. It is my appeal that the government would direct others program to our community and benefit girls to help them in achieving their dreams. Mr. President, sir, I am requesting you that the government will provide basic essential to the girls, such as sanitaries, towels, to help girls to be in school and achieve their goals.
If the world leaders, including Mr. President, is listening to me, this will be the message from me. Mr. President, sir, I am appealing you to come up with laws and policies so that we may abolish the archaic culture that happens in my community, such as female genital mutilations and early marriage, among others, which have been a barrier for a girl child to acquire education. Also, if we solve these problems, the girls may be able to access in education. Mr. President, sir, it's also my humble appeal we can have policies that support girl child empowerment in our country in order to promote gender equity and have equal between boys and girls. Okay. if the world leaders, including my president, was listening to me right now, the message will be for him. Mr. President, sir, I once saw you launching internet balloons. It is my humble request that access to internet can be available for students in my community to enable access to e-learning. Mr. President, sir, I also saw you launching the laptop for students in Kenya. I'm appealing so that we can have the same in my community for easy learning.
Asanteni, thank you very much. That was very inspiring, and I do hope that one day it will not be Mr. President, sir, but Madam President, ma'am. And very much you will be receiving those letters. Hopefully not asking you to walk the talk, because you will be walking the talk. And you will be making schools accessible for those with disabilities. You will be providing access to the internet, making sure that education is gender equal. So thank you very much for those messages. And I really do hope that one day you will be Madam Presidents and surgeons and teachers and be receiving letters from girls like yourselves. So thank you very much for all of those messages, and to all the girls. I know that I'm incredibly inspired right now and reminded of why girls like yourselves are so important. I do truly believe that people like yourselves, these GC girls, should and could be the global leaders of tomorrow. And if girls truly had the rights and opportunities that were entitled, I have no doubt that they will be the presidents of their countries. And so this brings us back to why the International Day of the Girl is so important. Today is our opportunity to put girls front and center and amplify their voices and challenges so that everyone, families, teachers, ministries, the GEC, global leaders, work even harder to make sure that girls' educational rights and opportunities are fulfilled. So I would very much like to thank Consolata, Mary, Falastin, Liam, Adama, Mariama, Hana, and Nedhanit for their inspiring views today. And I would also like to thank the GEC projects that work so hard to provide them with the educational opportunities that they so deserve. So thank you to Cheshire Services Uganda, IRC Concern Sierra Leone, Link Education Ethiopia, and World University Service of Canada, WUSC, that's implementing the KEEP program in Kenya. So before we wrap up, I am conscious that Emma Spicer, unfortunately, her internet was not working and cut her off very rudely in the middle of her introduction. Emma, would you like to be able to come back and say a few words?
Yeah, I'm sorry, so sorry, girls, that we ducked out, but we did hear everything the girls had to say. And I just wondered if I could reflect back on what's been said to us, because I thought it was so important, some of the points that people have made. First of all, I think we all really recognize how hard and how difficult the COVID crisis has been for you. But I think you told us that school had really left a gap in your life when it wasn't available, but also that you had been incredibly resourceful and organized, working with the GEC projects to try and get around that. So really congratulations for all the things you've done to keep your part of education. And I was really inspired by what you all said about dreaming big. And I was also surprised that nobody said what they wanted to do very soon was get married, but everybody said what they wanted to do very soon was be a doctor or a lawyer or a teacher. And you all emphasized how you wanted to help your communities, how you wanted to be independent, how you wanted to help stop violence, how you wanted to help promote peace. So I just really want to congratulate your values as very wise young women who'll be able to make a fantastic contribution to your communities. I also wanted to say thank you to everyone who helped organize today. Thanks to the Girls' Education Challenge for setting up this conversation. Thank you to the girls for coming to the capital cities. And thanks to the GEC project managers who must have been doing a huge amount behind the scenes to make this all possible. I wanted to say, girls, that you will be stars on, we have our own intranet, like an internet, which is just for our organization. So pictures of you will be shown all over the world on our internet, and there are lots of articles talking about the International Day of the Girl. So you've talked to people here, but there'll be another lot of people that you're getting your messages out to as well. So I just wanted to say thank you very much to everybody who's been involved in this conversation. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Emma. And actually, one more photo that we can have is, can I ask all the girls, can you wave and say a wave of goodbye to everybody so that we can take a picture?
Goodbye.
Goodbye, everyone.
Don't leave yet. Don't leave yet. Goodbye. We're not totally finished, because I would also like to thank Antara Ganguly and Aileen Manchu for their brilliant myth-busting session. So that was a wonderful session. And like I said, we're going to be turning that into an actual document that can be used by everybody. And then also would like to reiterate that UNGAI also has an additional event to celebrate International Day of the Girl starting at 3 p.m. UK time. I believe it's called Step Outside of the Gender Box. There will be a poem performance by Transform Education member, and as well as a panel discussion that will share good examples and strategies to address gender stereotypes in education. So please register and log on to that as well. So finally, I would like to thank you, the audience, for joining us today. I hope you are as inspired and invigorated as we are by our speakers. And I hope that you too will do what you can to ensure that girls' educational rights and opportunities are filled. If you would like to hear more about what we're doing at the Girls' Education Challenge, please feel free to contact us via our website or our Twitter account. And do look out for our upcoming online events, which will always be putting girls at the center of everything we do. So thank you again. Thank you for joining. Thank you for all of our speakers. And have a good rest of the day. Asante, Amasaganalo, thank you.
Thank you.